Welcome to Almost Productive, a podcast mostly about marketing. I'm Shawn.
I'm Julie.
I'm Addie.
And I'm Ben.
And we are all marketing professionals at New Boston Creative Group in Manhattan, Kansas. In today's episode, I decided it's time for us to discuss video marketing. Not only is it a service we get requested to help out with quite a bit, but when I Googled top marketing trends for 2024 to talk about on this podcast, it consistently showed up in the top results. So with my contribution to this episode basically complete, I will now task my co-hosts, along with podcast and video producer Nick, with answering my many questions related to video marketing, such as, why is it important? Tips on how to get started and be successful, and finally, can I fly the company drone?
No.
Absolutely not.
What are you thinking?
Okay, fair enough. But first, a word from our sponsor. Are you sick and tired of the complication with wireless devices, or the frustration of trying to use a device only to find out that the battery's at 2% and needs to be charged? Well, you can say goodbye to all those worries with Wires, a tried and true technology consisting of magic pieces of metal that can transport electricity between 2 points. They are flexible, easy to use, and come in a wide range of lengths, sizes, colors, and connections. So no matter what device you own, we guarantee there's a wire that fits your needs.
Wires have been an absolute game changer. Before, I was constantly losing my devices, but now with them physically tethered to my computer, I can just follow the wire and boom, there's my mouse.
Now that I've switched to Wires, everything is instantly connected the moment I plug it in. Try that with Bluetooth. Honestly, I don't think anyone knows what Bluetooth even is. I certainly don't trust it.
Exactly, no one should. Did you know wires have been the most dependable way to connect to things throughout human history? From mothers to their babies to electricity to your home, wires never let you down. So get back to basics with Wires, because sometimes the best connection is a real one. All right, so getting into our sort of office update, I thought it would be good to sort of try something different and do sort of like a New Boston recommends section. But I'm not interested in actual recommendations like movies and music. I want more small things, underrated things. I'll start us off with an example that I have that I think a lot of people could use, which is I have a pair of silicone tongs that I use to get toast out of my toaster. Toast, bagels, Pop-Tarts, those are hot when they come out of the toaster. And my fingers are sensitive, and I don't like that. So that I can pick these things up out of my toaster, it makes the day so much better when you're not starting off with a 3rd-degree burn on your hand trying to get breakfast. So that's the sort of thing I'm looking for. What do you got for me?
Well, that's pretty life-changing. You've set the bar high, so I don't exactly know where to go from there. But the first thing that popped into my head, which I realize now is really only a tip for people working from home or spending time in the home, is slippers. I love my slippers. My feet are always cold. They're comfier than socks and a little more fun and festive. Mine have rainbow smiley faces on them, and it just makes me happy. It's a pop of color, it's a pop of personality, and it keeps my feet warm.
Yeah, I like that one. I also have a pair of slippers and highly recommended.
I'm going to say, with reservations, cereal for dinner. And the reservations are, spouse is not home, it's just you. And effort, it just needs to be at a minimum sometimes. So, cereal for dinner.
Is there a specific kind of cereal?
No.
Okay. Dealer's choice. I like it.
I'll expand on this. I would do cereal and toast a lot for dinner. Just to expand the meal a little bit. There's the main course, the cereal, then you have your side of toast.
Right. Because
taken from the
that
toaster.
way you've got both grains.
Exactly.
Two grains for your food groups instead of just one.
Right. And depending on the type of cereal, then you can change up your toast. So like if you're having more of a, like the oats, more healthy cereal, then you can be like, oh, maybe the toast is cinnamon sugar. I don't know. But if you're going with, yeah, exactly. But if you're going with like Lucky Charms as a cereal, then maybe you're just doing butter on the toast or jelly, but like you can change it up. I like it.
Notoriously healthy butter and jelly.
Yum.
Right.
Oh,
I'll also add that we do a snack night occasionally with the girls, and that is like dig out whatever leftovers, cheese, crackers, chips, whatever, and that be the meal, which is again another easy option.
I feel like everybody knows this already, but it feels new to me. Setting out your clothes the night before so you don't have to pick them out in the morning. It saves so much time. It saves all the time in the morning. And then you can relax a little bit more. You can take it easy. You can get everything done. You don't feel rushed. It's just one less thing to do in the morning. If you have to wait and then figure out what you're going to wear, just check the weather the night before. Just check the weather and pick out your clothes.
And since our podcast and video producer Nick is here, I'll ask him as well. Do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to stick with the food topic. And this is recency bias since I used this thing yesterday. And it was actually, it's awesome. It's just a crock pot. Throw, a pork butt in there. Let it sit for 8 hours. Pull it out. Get yourself some pulled pork. It was really easy. I'm like, why don't I do more crock pot meals instead of going through? I like to cook. Listen, I like to cook. Sometimes it can be a hassle when you're just like, I got crap everywhere. Crock pot, super easy.
Yeah, I think the thing is you're preempting your meal planning by 8 hours, and so you just have to be prepared.
Yes,
it's the only thing.
That's where my problem is that I'm a very poor planner. But yet for yesterday, it was like, oh, we're gonna have people over for the Chiefs game. Oh, we can do pulled pork, easy. If I could just like prepare with a crock pot, come to work, go home, I'm like, oh, there's my meal.
Well, now instead you could do cereal and toast. Even easier.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because Nick's answer is the food version of Ben's.
Oh yeah.
Setting your dinner out the night before.
Pretty much.
Right.
It's pretty much what you're doing is setting your dinner out the night before.
You got to check the weather for that too.
Sync.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think we can move in to our topic of today, which is video marketing. And I think it would be good to sort of clarify video marketing from advertising, which is probably its own podcast topic, but to sort of define it, video marketing encompasses a wide range of strategies that involve using video content to promote your brand, product, service. This is for building awareness, customer engagement, providing value through educational content, and can take a lot of various forms. So explainer videos, testimonials, how-to guides, etc. And it's mostly in a sort of non-salesy way. So that's video marketing, where advertising for this would be a subset of video marketing that specifically focuses on promoting products or services, often through paid ads and with the primary aim of being sales-oriented. So that's sort of the difference. And I think for this podcast, I want to sort of talk about marketing as a whole and not sort of focus on advertising, but we might touch on advertising through some of the answers. And to give you some stats about why this is something to talk about, the average user in the US watches around an hour a day of online video on social platforms. So this is sort of per platform. Most people choose a platform that they like and they spend most of their time on that one. And so they're getting around an hour a day. Online videos have an audience reach of over 92% worldwide. 91% of people have watched an explainer video to learn more about a product or service. 82% of people have been convinced to buy a product or a service by watching a video. And the majority of customers through research say they want to see more video content from businesses and brands. And when asked how they like to learn about a product or service, watching a video is the leader. 44% want to watch a video, which easily beats out the next 5, which are online manuals at 16%, infographics at 15%, articles 13%, sales calls 6%, and finally webinars or presentations at 5%. So with that sort of as our background, why do you guys think online video is so successful right now? Why is it such a big thing?
I think it's the most engaging way to interact with an audience. So for instance, scrolling on TikTok, you see a human face, you see someone interacting with something in some way that's easier to connect to versus just words on a screen. When you see a person actually doing something, you can imagine yourself doing the same thing. Whereas if you're just reading about something, it might be a little harder to picture, oh, what does that exactly look like? Or how far away is that thing from that thing? And a video, it's right there. You can see everything for yourself.
Just going along with what Addie said, I think it's just asking the least of the audience in terms of direct getting them involved and engaged. When you're asking them to read text, there's a distance that's there that's not there with video, and video is closing that distance and getting them in. It doesn't mean that you'll keep them automatically. That means the video has to be good and engaging on its own terms, but it gets them into the door quicker because there's less barrier of entry.
Yeah, doom scrolling is a term that's used a lot, and I really have only associated it with video content where you're just on TikTok or Reels or I guess any of those platforms where you can just keep swiping and you're seeing next video. The user can almost just shut their brain off and just let the video content entertain them, inform them. If you're addy, watching all sorts of like pulling on the heartstrings videos to get yourself to cry a little bit. Yeah, you just
that doesn't take much. I never need to get myself to cry.
Well, yeah, it's become a really easy way to just get people to just stay on there and just scroll.
Yeah, and I think that the whole concept of video allows for the creator or the business to do so much more with that one video, as opposed to like if you write an article or something else, you're sort of limited in that way, where with a video there's so much more with music and storytelling, and you can also have graphics, and there's just so much you can put into a 30-second video that can really capture someone's attention and be memorable. I think much easier than just a simple article or similar.
On that note, there's a lot less room for misinterpretation or misunderstanding. When you're reading something, you're inflicting your own mood or voice and all of those things on the text, whereas when you're watching a video, the emphasis on the words is what the person is saying. It's how they're choosing to deliver the lines, how you hear them. So those things matter too.
Yeah, so thinking about now specifically for a business, what are the benefits for them to be investing in video marketing? Why should people be doing this for their business?
Well, we just said it's a more engaging type of content. So if you want to engage it with your audience, then that's a great way to do it.
And just all of the stats that Shawn read in the beginning, people want video. People want to watch video. And I think they're less guarded when watching a video than they are maybe reading text on a website or a social media post, etc. They're a little more relaxed when they're watching it.
I think the way that you can arrange all the elements of video content is really versatile. So like emphasis on sound or graphics or text or video, like you can incorporate all of these different things, which I think can mean that you can have a lot of different types of content beyond just blocks of texts. You can arrange text in different ways, but you're relying strictly on the visual and whether or not people want to read a thing, basically. With audio visual, you can have stuff that's like 15 seconds long, and it's more like a TikTok, or you can have a long form explainer video that people might want to engage with that way too. And so basically whatever message you want to get out, I feel like there is an avenue to use video to address it, and across different audiences as well.
It's the media version of jangling keys in front of a baby. Like, if you're doing next doom scrolling and you see a bunch of text, your brain has to do work to even enter what that message is. But with a video, it's already there for you. Even if if you've got it on mute, you start to see the elements come together and you're drawn in.
Yeah, and I'll add that and Ben sort of touched on this, the versatility and the flexibility of video content. It can be posted on social media. It can go on your website. You can include it in your email campaigns. It can be an online ad. It could be a TV commercial. You can get a lot of mileage out of video for a lot of different forms. There's even, the various social media. So like, are you posting on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok? So it can do a wide range of things for you. And attached to all those things are then the analytics, the feedback you get, the data you get from that to see whether all that's successful. So like you're getting a lot of use out of sort of one particular avenue.
You hit on different types of users. Like, okay, you can break apart a long form into short form. if I may, like I have a good example of somebody I know. I'll shout him out. His name's Cody Isern. He's a wedding videographer, and he does an excellent job of taking his long form pieces of, the wedding highlight that he makes for the couples. And now he has all this content that he can then repurpose into other posts to market himself, like a Father's Day video. So he'll, post a video, like a short 30-second video of like Happy Father's Day. And he's able to, utilize and be versatile with all of his footage to not only have it for the long form, but also for the short form.
And I think something sort of tied to that you made me think about was how, you're on YouTube and you're watching this sort of more informational or educational content, which is sort of like behind the scenes selling something to me a little bit, where you might be more adverse to watching an ad. But if you're watching a video that is providing you, some information, some education, and it's like, oh, also we have this product or service, you're sort of more apt to pay attention and maybe, follow up with that where, a more direct ad might turn you off.
Another thing, Shawn, you mentioned analytics, and beyond just like view rates and that sort of data, there's also video platforms have a lot of algorithmic suggestions you might like, where you're on the same platform, but you're getting suggestions for a huge variety of creators. And the affinity targeting that's available through video, because you've got channel information, you've got video metadata information that it's then suggesting more you might like, content related to you, is much stronger on those video platforms than a text platform. Because a text platform, you're on one website, that's not going to suggest other websites to you, unless you're on Google. And that's another point is, video is, this is old data too, but video like a year or two ago was the second highest search engine.
I'll piggyback on what you were saying about the platforms, which reminded me of another benefit of that is the shareability of video. So if you're posting on the social platforms or YouTube, they make it super easy to then share that video, and people are going to be more apt to share a video than they are to, share an article. So you're going to get that sort of virality out of it. So I think at this point we've sold everybody. Like, you're a business, you're listening to this, you're like, I know I need video. I get it, everyone. So what tips do we have for them on how to be successful and effective? And this can be from when they start making a video. Are they making the video right now? They've already made the video. What are some tips? And we could just throw them out.
I think this answer could pertain to a lot of marketing questions when you're getting started. And it's decide what your message is. What are you actually trying to tell people? Do you need to tell people who you are and what services you have? Do you need to tell people you just opened, you're having a big sale? What message are you trying to get across, and to what audience are you trying to talk? So kind of figuring those two things out first, and then based on those two answers, you can make your plan from there.
On that same note, I think part of coming up with the right messaging and tone that you want to achieve is about figuring out what sets you apart from other people, especially when diving into something like video marketing. It can be tempting just to copy what other people are already doing, but it can feel disingenuous or it can feel flat because it doesn't emphasize the parts of your organization that make you you. And so figuring that out is, I think, part of the process too, which is hard to do sometimes from the inside. It can be hard to see what people really value and appreciate about what you do. And so that might take some time too. But then using that to emphasize the story that you tell in the video and making sure you hit those beats of the things that people value and showing that to more people using video, I think is important.
Related to that is staying true to your branding. So you can have the most incredible video ever with insane special effects and it tells a beautiful story. But if people don't know that you were the one that produced and made the video, it doesn't really matter. So making sure that there are elements of your brand, have your logo, your colors, simple things like that to make sure that when your audience sees it and is wowed by it, they know where to go after that.
What I'll add is I think something that's easy to not think about for people because they don't see themselves in this way. But like really sit down and do the basics of like write the script out, maybe do a storyboard. Where are you gonna film? Maybe scout the locations and figure out like how the layout is. And I'm sure Nick can talk on these more. But the more planning you can do, the better.
Well, I think everything y'all have hit on is in the pre-production stage, and I will die on this hill that this is the most important stage in I'll call it a 3-step process of getting your video created. So you got pre-production, which is everything we just have discussed with like story, scouting, script, knowing your audience, kind of figuring out your tone and your message. That's all pre-production. All figuring out what is it that's going to be going into this video, and your production and your post-production are going to go a lot smoother. Because if you're just like on production, you're like, what are we shooting? Which this would be a crazy scenario in my mind. But if you just got on production, you're like, what are we going to do? I don't know. I thought we'd figure it out when we got here. That would be a crazy way to work. I'm not saying it won't work, but if it does work, please come talk to me and let me know how you got it to work. But you know where all the pieces should fit. Now, there's going to be challenges in production and post-production. Like, it doesn't just magically all go smoothly, but you're much better prepared to be able to make adjustments and be flexible and have a better understanding of where these pieces fit or where they may have to move.
Or even if you had to, like, oh, this isn't working, we need to make a change on the fly. If you haven't done all that pre-production work to know, well, this is the overall goal, and we need it to be less than 10 seconds so we can show it, as this kind of ad or what have you, you can then, if you've got all that background knowledge, you can then make those decisions on the fly better and not risk having it fall apart just because not everything went according to plan. Because, Nick, does everything always go according to plan?
Only in my dreams. And even then, that doesn't happen that often.
I'll add a couple more because I've got a few stats to go along with them. But thinking through like what type of video you want to make, one good thing is it kind of doesn't matter what type of video you want to make. They're all very effective. If you break down the sort of the most watched types of videos online, the very one at the very top doesn't sort of apply to us. Music videos is one at the clear top. So if you're in a business that can make a music video, you go for it. I just imagine that's not a lot of people. But then
we should do that. Should we make a music video?
We made a podcast. We can do it.
A New Boston Creative Group music video.
I just walked right into that. So look out for that. But otherwise, tutorials, live streams, educational content, reviews, vlogs are basically all the same. They've got all the same sort of metrics to them. So they'll all work. The one little caveat I will add, that comedy is also a highly sought after one, but I feel like you can play that into these other ones as well. So if you can make something funny, that's just an added benefit. And then think about the length of the video. And for most things, shorter, the better. A study found that videos less than 2 minutes long have an average completion rate of 85%. So majority of people are going to get through a longer video where you're going to start losing people on a longer video. And of course, there's going to be caveats to that where sometimes it makes more sense.
That's a good point too. And just to piggyback off of that, for advertising, if you want to run like a YouTube ad, a bumper ad can only be 6 seconds. So just making sure that you check the specs of everything before you shoot so you know how short your script needs to be for whatever placement you're looking at.
Video sounds scary to get into if you haven't done it already, which is why you might want to go to a marketing company that has people that know what they're doing there. If you guys know of any marketing company.
Yeah, Ben and I are working on a list.
Still?
We're still,
Steve's
yeah.
been working on that list for a long time.
We don't rush what we do.
No.
We take our time and we do it right.
Slow
and so
and steady.
when we have this list, we will present it. I promise you.
Oh, I'm excited.
Me too, man.
I don't want to say how many we have on the list, but it's almost a handful.
It's absolutely several.
It's
Yeah.
several for
Waiting
sure.
with bated breath.
Yes, please. I cannot wait to see this list. I will say to those companies, as they're waiting for this list to come out, like if you have the time and the budget to be able to get started, I think video and creating videos, it has gotten so much cheaper throughout the years, which is really awesome to see because it puts the equipment in the hands of the creators to be able to do it themselves, which is awesome. And the resources out there, I won't say they're endless. I'm sure there's an end to them. But there's a lot of free resources. That's not just with tutorials or, going to YouTube and looking up, how to edit in Premiere Pro. Well, you don't even need to use Premiere Pro, which is a paid Adobe app, but there's free editing software out there. If you have a smartphone, which I assume you would have, these cameras are incredible. Audio equipment has gotten much cheaper. By lighting, everything has gotten so much cheaper that you can almost put together, like if you already have a cell phone and you take away that cost, you can almost buy something, a full list of equipment that's lighting and audio for probably around $300. You could go less, really, but $300 might be a good range where you're not going too cheap and having to pay again for after a crappy light or a piece of audio equipment goes out. But that's one thing that gets me really excited.
Well, and Nick, I'd plug you real quick because I think it's easy to make a bad video if you don't know what you're doing. But not everyone has the budget to hire an outside company to do that work. And I know that Nick has consulted with some of our clients who want to have the capacity to do it themselves, but they don't know how to get started. And he's helped some nonprofits in the area, okay, let me work with you to show you a few things, get you a template so that you can do your good work and not break the bank so that your funds can go where they need to go. And so there's a happy medium in there too. Yes, the barrier to entry is lower, but that also means the possibility of creating crappy videos has gotten a lot larger. And so consulting is an option too, getting direction, working with someone to say, how can I make this better?
Yeah, I don't want to put myself out of a job, but there's deeper knowledge to any of the stuff that us marketers know, whether you've been Julie and Addie on content or Shawn with web. There's deeper knowledge to this stuff, and that's a good reason to hire a marketing company that has this knowledge and kind of knows the concepts to make it look and sound much better.
Yeah, and I wanted to add, because I believe this is right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when doing a video, more people are willing to forgive bad video quality than they are audio quality, which is, I think, contrary to what you would normally think. So investing in that microphone is worth it if you're looking at investing.
Yeah, I would not go too cheap on audio if you have that in your budget, because again, your camera can be the camera that's in your pocket. Usually the best, what do they say? The best camera is the camera that you have on you.
All right. Any other tips we want to give people?
Do it.
Was that Terry or a new?
No, I don't know.
That was pure Julie.
Do it.
Oh.
Do it.
Maybe just to wrap up kind of what everyone just said, no matter your budget or level of business that you're currently at, there's some way for you to do video, even if it's just taking out your iPhone, making some videos, and starting a TikTok account. You can start there, and that's basically free. Of course, there's the opportunity cost of your time, maybe you want to hire an intern to do that who has some more experience on the platform. But there are definitely entry-level ways for people to get started with just an iPhone or other comparable model. And then as you work your way up and have more of a budget, whether that's consulting with Nick at New Boston to get started at a little higher of a level, or a full-blown production with a set and a script that you've hired a company to create and then edit for you. Regardless of your size of company and budget, there's a way for you to work in video, and it's definitely worth it to do for all of the reasons that we've said. It's super, super effective, and you can use the video for a long time for a multitude of purposes.
Well, with that, I think I'll transition into our Molly jokes. And again, I have 3 here for us today, and I'll have you rate them, as we always do. What is a potato's favorite form of transportation? A gravy train.
Oh, 10.
Oh, that was
Nice.
good. I'm going to say 8.
9.
I'm gonna-
split the difference.
I'm going to give that an Ozzy Osbourne out of 10.
Okay. Why don't they play cards in the jungle?
Oh, too many cheetahs.
Exactly. Congratulations.
Oh,
got one.
Nice.
Good job.
I got one.
Had you heard that before, or did your
Yes.
brain just like, oh, I got it? Okay.
I've heard a similar joke before.
Okay. Thank you for
I
the
like-
honesty.
I also like that one because cheetahs are not in a jungle, but it's still funny.
Yeah. I think the version I heard was like in Africa specifically. And I'm like, that's a continent. That's
Yeah.
a big.
I like that the joke tries to throw at you because you're like, cheetahs aren't in a jungle, but it's the answer.
Yeah.
All right.
When you're flustered,
And-
you can't think.
Right. Last one is not call and response. I'll just read it through. I told my doctor I broke my arm in 2 places. He told me to stop going to those places.
Oh,
That was my favorite.
I like that one.
really
That
good.
was-
I'm gonna
that was a
say
10
8
for me.
again
Solid.
that one.
Yeah. I don't know how she keeps coming up with these.
10 out of 10.
Every week she's just knocking it out of the park.
I like that a lot out of 10, Molly.
Good
Molly
job,
wrote
Molly.
Google. That's how she's coming out.
Thanks for the transparency.
But I'll argue she finds them, but then she curates. You know, this wasn't like she picked the top 3 out of the Google results. You know, she
Yeah.
finds them, curates them, and provides them to me. She's not giving me trash.
Yeah.
You know, she's throwing those away.
And we all
And
know
she
your
knows.
affinity to trash.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm against it. Thank you for listening to this episode of Almost Productive. Before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to our producers Nick and Molly, who work behind the scenes to make this podcast possible. If you'd like to learn more about what we do at New Boston Creative Group, you can reach us at newbostoncreative.com. You can also follow us on social media at New Boston Creative on Instagram and New Boston Creative Group on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends. And if you didn't like the show, feel free to recommend us to your enemies. Tune in next time for some more office shenanigans, thoughts on trending topics, and marketing adjacent insight. Until next time, we hope you have a productive day. Bye, everyone.
Oh, that's it?
Okay, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Like, you got something else, Julie? We can keep talking.
See you.